Hey, good morning and welcome, everybody. My name is Watcher on the web, and you're joining us here on the Council on Future Conflicts. Thank you so much for being here. As you might see, Scott is he's gone. He's not here today. In fact, we will be Scottless probably for most of this week. Hey, appreciate the gift of membership there, low key LARP. But yeah, Joe and I are going to try and hold down the fort. We'll see if we can get some other interesting and fun guests to pop on while he's gone. But if not, you'll have Joe's pretty mug and my made for radio face. Joe, how you doing this morning?
I am doing well and good, despite the fact that today marks one more trip around the sun for me. So, but the good news is, no matter how old I turn today, Mrs. Tactical Wisdom turns older tomorrow. So it's okay.
Ah.
But Scott this week, the rumor I have from my sources that he's not on this morning because he is enjoying a succulent Chinese meal. So uh, that's just a rumor. That is just a rumor. But
Well, I'm not gonna let that pass without comment. You cleverly hid this from me the whole morning. I should have been tipped off because you did say when Miss Sally's birthday was coming up, and I should have remembered that you guys are like right next door to each other. Happy birthday, Joe.
oh, thanks. In addition, I want to thank the National Guard for accidentally participating in our field exercise this weekend because while we were running the FTX program, there was C-130s just kept screaming right down Goat Creek Road here, just over the treetops all weekend, and I was like, this adds a certain level of realism. So
Yeah,
pretty good
yeah,
stuff. Um,
that's
we
better
did
than
some ballistic
simunitions.
helmet testing for someone this weekend, and the results will be out later. Uh,
Mm.
Hint: it didn't go as planned. So,
Uh-oh.
and I think like Be Prepared and some of the others who have been in on the background conversations on this know who I tested it for, and I think it's funny that it didn't go well. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that in the future, I need to remember that you're doing this and then rent a Phantom 3 so that we can get some high speed footage of these kind of, shall we say, destructive testings.
Yes. Let me just say that if the 44 Magnum does this to your helmet, you don't want to be wearing said helmet. So, and in all honesty, it's not that I was intentionally trying to damage the helmet. He asked me to test it with a 44 Magnum, which I don't have. So Alan was more than
Oh,
happy to do that for us.
oh man.
Those of you who've met Alan Erickson here at the camp, he giggled the whole time he did it, so that was cool.
Did you? Well, did you at least said the line, right?
Oh yeah. Did I fire 5 shots or only 6? Do you feel lucky, punk? Do you? Uh, yeah, it went well. So
Fantastic, wondrous fair. Again, I'm just sad that I wasn't there to get some video footage for it, so we could do some. Joe, you really would. We really could do a very good. Obviously your own style, but the sort of demolition ranch. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That sort of video, the outdoor range style videos. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
yeah. Well, you know, I would like to do that, but that requires me doing things on video I don't necessarily want to do on video.
Nah, not necessarily. We could get somebody to do the stupid stuff. You could be there's
I'll do the
always ways to play
voiceover.
it. Yeah,
We're gonna
exactly.
send
Not even
Jim
movies.
out into the field to circumcise the buffalo.
You just be the straight man. That's all we need. But we can go into more of that later. Chat. Thank you so much for being here. How are you guys doing today, chat? It's kind of a wonderful morning. I'm feeling the love already. Once again, thank you for those gifted memberships over there, low key larp. As you guys can see, we're going to talk about our peace summit, what we know about what happened and what comes next, and then Gia, somebody maybe told us that a series of civil wars were gonna start kicking off, and boy howdy, does it look like
Yeah,
that's about to start happening. uh, Watcher's volume is super low. All right, let me fix that.
There you go. That's better.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I can't hear myself, so appreciate you racing psychosis. God, I feel like I'm missing something. Isn't there something we usually do before we get into before we get into odds and ends? Was there an ad we wanted to do first?
I put it in the odds and ends, so we'll do it.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Guys, I don't know how to introduce this next one, so let's just roll into it, I suppose. 4chan is yet again fighting the man.
But can you really call it the man if it's the UK?
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, that's true. 4chan's fighting the redcoats. So, in case you guys haven't seen, the UK has been trying to extend their censorship laws into basically everything. Most big tech companies aren't fighting them, assumably because they're largely on the same page as them. You have some outliers, but 4chan sat up, took notice, and hired a pretty high-powered attorney who has been launching some pretty amazing legal stuff. I wish we had one of our lawyers on to actually talk about what the case is here. But from what I am hearing from the rest of the internet, 4chan's lawyer makes very good cases, and it kind of has the feeling of, I don't know if you guys remember this back in the day, when Napster's lawyer sent an email to the I forget what the law group was. It was representing like all of the record companies, but it essentially said, in case you aren't aware, Sweden's not America, and therefore American laws don't apply. So get fucked.
It's like when you get a notice that your tweet may have violated German law. Okay, yep. I don't care.
Yep. Let me read a bit from the article here. So, if you're tired of censorship and surveillance, join Reclaim the Net, which is where this article is being featured. And they do a very good job of featuring basically anti-censorship news from around the world. So, a transatlantic standoff is brewing as the U.S. attorneys representing 4chan issue a fierce rebuttal to the UK government's recent action under its expansive new censorship law, the Online Safety Act. The British communication regulator Ofcom claims that 4chan breached duties to provide information and comply with the online censorship regulations, now facing potential fines. The platform is pushing back, backed by legal firepower, the threat of U.S. federal litigation. Attorney Preston Bryan and Ron Coleman. Oh, excellent. I didn't know Ron was representing them. That's good. Fighting for 4chan responded publicly to Ofcom's provisional notice, which accuses the U.S. company of failing to meet information notice requirements and possibly breaching duties related to content moderation. Yeah, thank you, Tianica. That was my thought as well. Ron Coleman. Oh, they're fucked. Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, so in case you guys aren't aware, what this is definitely going to be about is that according to the UK's new law, U.S. companies are being forced to censor, either go to extreme lengths and do very expensive checks to make sure that British citizens aren't using their service, which shouldn't be legal, or they're going to issue them massive fines in Britain, which also, what? We're not subject to your law. Get fucked.
Funny that the British government has appointed themselves some sort of international authority. All that water around you, that's where your authority ends.
Well, I think it's an inherited instinct. I think it's something they picked up from the EU. If you guys haven't noticed, that's kind of been the EU's strategy. Is that about 20 years ago they realized, shit, well, we've kind of regulated ourselves into the dirt, so we're not going to make any kind of major scientific or economic advancements. what do we do now? How do we maintain global dominance? And their idea was, we will make laws, we will regulate the rest of the world, and we'll do that by trying to shut down access to our market for those who don't comply. And that has gone not good for them. If you guys remember, Spain tried to do a link tax on Google forever ago, so that it if your search engine was linking to a news article, you owed the news article writer money. So Google just said okay, and then stopped offering services in Spain. To which Spain responded, "No, wait, please, not like that."
Well, here's what's funny is just as CWSB points out, I'm not surprised that "Oi, mate, you got a license for that?" People are now doing this. That's exactly what happened here. Somebody said, "Hey, you got a license for that?" And you know that scene from Parks and Rec where dude pulls out the thing and it says, "This is just a slip of paper that says I could do what I want." Yes.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Well, 4chan's fighting the good fight yet again. Go boys, go. What can I say? If you guys don't know, 4chan is probably one of the 10 most influential sites on the entire internet. Even now that all of us old fags are out and all the new fags are in, it is what it is. You can't fight 4chan. Next, follow up from a story from just the other day. Real quick before we move on, Lance Corporal Veteran says Facebook did the same strategy in Australia. They pulled the plug when the Aussie Parliament tried regulating them. Yup. And then I think within a week, they reversed that decision.
Yeah, Last Corporal Veteran, why are you yelling?
Calm down, bro.
Relax, bro.
But speaking of a topic that makes me want to yell, an update on another story that we talked about the other day. So I ended the show talking about this incident the other day. Breaking: DHS and ICE confirm to Fox News that the illegal alien truck driver who killed 3 in a crash in Florida was indeed an Indian national who initially crossed the California border illegally in September 2018 and was arrested by Border Patrol. Harjinder Singh was produced for expedited removal, fast-track deportation by the first Trump administration, but claimed fear of going back to India. He is a Sikh, so I would suspect that he is part of the Sikh separatist movement and claimed fear of government violence for if he returned. Singh was arrested by U.S. Marshals in California on Saturday on a warrant for 3 counts of vehicular homicide. Hold on. In California? He made it all the way across the country from that wreck? Nobody at that wreck where he was standing, where they were peeling the bodies out from underneath his truck, and he was looking on like, oh, what an inconvenience. Nobody arrested him there?
At that point, it wasn't a crime, right? And it probably became a crime. He was arrested by the U.S. Marshals because he crossed state lines afterward.
Photos of his arrest provided to Fox via federal sources. Florida officials say the sanctuary state of California gave him a commercial driver's license. Not just the state of California, the particular area that he's licensed out of, and I'm blanking at the moment, I'd looked this up earlier, is there's like a whole county that's pretty famous for issuing driver's licenses and commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens. They've got a series of little schools there that are built to just churn them out.
Yeah, so they go in there and they get these certificates from these schools that are ran by other Indian nationals, and they're not actually learning anything. The U-turn he attempted was highly illegal, very dangerous. And there's video of several different Indian truck drivers making that same maneuver. And I will tell you this, a lot of people might be shocked to learn this, but if you travel the country and go to rest areas, the majority of American truck drivers now are Indian, and it's not a net positive.
Here's his DHS background. Entered illegally September 20th, 2018. Arrested by Border Patrol same day. December 26th, Citizenship and Immigration issued a positive fear finding and issued a notice to appear. January the next year, $5,000 bond from an immigration judge, which he posted the next day. Executive Officer of Immigration Review recalendars hearing to April in Seattle. Weird. Change of venue granted to Seattle 4 years later. Jesus Christ. So this guy just slipped through the cracks. Where did the money come from? What, the money to give these guys CDLs? I mean, that makes sense. It's the trucking companies. And how do they employ these people? Well, they set up shell corporations within shell corporations within shell corporations, and then whenever something like this happens, they just make a new one.
Well, yeah, and they hire the guy as an independent contractor, so there's less vetting that's done. So.
Yep. This has to get solved, man. I saw that a lot of people are really snapping too after this one, but this has to get solved. We have to get these foreign nationals off of our roads. It's unconscionable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, good point, Diatica. He didn't slip through; they pushed him through the crack.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you, Caravaggio. We might consider a program like the Australians did, where they had too many toads, and I can't even remember what the thing was. They had too many rabbits, so they introduced cats, and they had too many cats, so they introduced dogs. They had too many dogs. What eats trains? That's what I want to know. So next, for all those viewers down south, particularly in the Florida area, I'm sure you're already tracking, but our odds and ends number 3 is simply, hey, look out, bad weather. Hurricane Erin forecast to bring life-threatening surf and rip currents as a Category 4. I've been seeing that this one's really brewing into something quite nasty. Joe?
It's really important, and the most basic piece of preparedness for you, I moved it, is monitoring, and you can get something as simple as a weather radio. I have one right here. Stand by. Something as simple as a cheap marine radio or weather radio that will scan the weather frequencies. Your Baofeng will do it, and have that on so you know what's coming ashore. I use this marine radio because it's set to alert whenever there's a weather alert for my area. Pay attention, be ready and do something. If you scroll down that article, it gives some preparedness tips and things that everyone should do, like have food supplies available, just the basic stuff, right? Turks and Caicos has suspended all public services during the storm. You need to understand that your city and town is going to do that too. They're going to tell you at some point that, hey, until the storm is over, there will be no police and fire service. You need to know that. And you need to be prepared to protect yourselves in that area. It's going across Haiti and across Cuba right now. Just a little bit further up. There's a storm track. Can you click that image and make the storm track bigger? It's going to show us where it's projected to come. It's projected to come near the South Carolina coast and turn away and continue all the way up the East Coast as it weakens. But that's still going to push water and storm surge into those areas. Secure your property, have some food and water available, be ready. So, yeah, be prepared confirms it. We aren't coming out in the middle of the storm because you were stupid and stayed.
Also, remember that these hurricane trackers have been wrong before many times.
Well, they were wrong in North Carolina last year, right?
Yeah. So,
stay off the coastal roads. When that happens, it's not time to go out to the Outer Banks. It's not time to go up the Intercoastal Waterway. It's not time to go up the highway that runs right along the shore. So, anyway, pay attention, be aware of it, and have some food and water on hand. Fill up your vehicles with gasoline.
We do have one final fourth odds and ends for you today.
This one's a good one.
Yeah, we needed some good news, you know.
Sometimes there's a feel-good story you just got to tell.
So, and just know that some of this might be false, but we'll talk about it. So, every time I Google Beyond, or every time I see an ad for Beyond Meat, I Google steak on a grill, copy and paste the second photo, smash the retweet button, and wait for my 6 retweets to roll in, which was Beyond Meat's pathetic attempt to try and get over the unbelievably amazing burn Farmer Bill's delivered, which is every time I see an ad for Beyond Meat, I throw a steak on the grill. Anyone else?
and
to which Farmer Bill responded, well, that was actually a pretty good reply from your social media guys. Speaking of stock images, though, how are you guys doing?
And honestly, Beyond Meat has now filed for bankruptcy.
Well, okay. So there were reports that they were going to file for that they are filing for Chapter 11. They have refuted it, but I mean, they can say no all they want. It doesn't mean someone there's not doing it. Like, there's no, you were lying, so now we're going to charge you extra for your bankruptcy. Nope, not how that works. They could totally be filing and just not want to say anything, because the lower their stock, the worse this ends up for them when they have to end up coming to their creditors.
So, in honor of this, if you go to Farmer Bill's website, where they make fantastic biltong, which is a South African style of jerky.
Oh, it's good.
You can get 20% off if you use the code Twitter20. Click their that stuff looks so good.
Yeah.
If you click their webpage link up at the top there, you'll see what they've got. The code is Twitter20, and you can get all kinds of good stuff.
Made in South Dakota. Whole 8-ounce biltong slab, only $35. Although sold out right now. So.
Yeah, the some guy who's having a birthday today shared their link over the weekend, and they're making a whole bunch of money off it. Guy sent me a DM thanking me for it, so. It's pretty good stuff. Hey,
but it looks like
racing psychosis, very good.
Looks like half pounders are in stock. So there you go, folks.
It's good stuff. And the best way to defeat all of the fake meat is to buy real meat. So go check out Farmer Bill's and do it. I just thought that was a really good story. The power of social media in American business is actually big, right? You can make or break a business with their social media presence. So awesome.
All right, folks. Well, let's move into our main topic, shall we? Oh no, wait. This would normally be where we do our ad break. Joe.
Buy some books, come to class, buy some t-shirts. Hey, listen though, if you're thinking about it, we have. This weekend, we have Buildcraft coming up, and then followed immediately by Community Security Ops. And next weekend, whatever the last weekend of the month is, the 29th through the 31st, we have Combatives. And we're going to do it old school Marine Corps style, where I'm actually going to get up on a platform and demonstrate, and then you're going to actually do it in the grass. So it's grass drills all weekend. It's going to be fun. We'll do unarmed self-defense on Friday, both stand-up fighting and ground fighting. And then on Saturday, we will do sticks in the morning and knives in the afternoon. And then on Sunday, we will do cold firearms combatives, what to do if your weapon is jammed and you're still in a fight for your life, including there will be some bayonet action. So good stuff.
Fantastic. I'm going to do a much worse job of delivering the brush beater ad than Scott would have. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna talk about the billboard because bros, they got a billboard. There we go. Look at that. Oh, that's a good looking one too. Home of Kyber Optics, night vision, thermal scopes, communications, freeze dried food, medical equipment. So yeah, that's how you get there, boys. Head on out to Yanceyville. Check out their night vision in a, I believe they have a dark room set up for that purpose anytime, but also get it on a class.
Yeah, it's actually a fantastic facility. Having seen that store on the day he signed the papers and having seen it the week before it opened, just night and day difference, and it's been really cool to see. But one more person fell to the brush beater store curse over the weekend. Matt sent a bunch of us a photo of yet another local meth head getting pulled over in his parking lot. It's very fun.
It's a magnet. So people are saying, hold on just a second here. Let me scroll back up. Billboard is good. The absolute tool in the comments. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's brush beater. He attracts them like flies. Yeah, guys. Just remember to use code CFC10 anytime you're checking out with just about anything on the site, and you'll get 5% off.
Oh, you know what? Let's pull this up. Phoenix Ammo. Go to Phoenix Ammo's page and show the billboard they were running around the Woodward Dream Cruise this weekend.
Oh yeah, I did see this. That was good. Hold on, I gotta find it though.
Yeah.
Huh. You want to link me?
Yeah, give me just a second. F and X.
Oh, never mind. There we go. They weren't pulling up in the search engine for some reason.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. And there's another one that said the Second Amendment is for shooting carjackers. Well, that one has two screens. The first screen was, Second Amendment is for shooting carjackers. So not only did they rent this billboard, they also had a moving billboard that said the same thing at the Dream Cruise. Very good stuff. And man, showing the Chicken Shack. If there are any Metro Detroiters in there, what you could do for me for my birthday is buy me some Chicken Shack potatoes and ship them out. But no, you really can't. Don't do that. That would be horrible. It would be gross by the time we got here.
It'd be gross by the time we got there, yeah.
That's one of the things I miss from back home is Chicken Shack potatoes.
Let's see. People are asking, I guess before we move on, people are asking for a business update. So let me say we've got the egg stand set up, and that's going well. Got a few clients for the landscaping business. We're on about 6 now, four paying ones. So yeah, it's good stuff. I don't know what to say. Things are moving. So thank you guys for caring, I guess. I wish I could tell you the name, but at the moment, if I told you the name, you could literally just know everything about me at the moment. So we'll figure it out. But yeah. Moving into the main topic today, guys. Boy, what a power play, eh? Everybody's seen this video, I hope. They deboard. They're walking on the red carpet, which leftists are having an utter conniption fit about. We'll go over that in a minute. And you got your stealth fighter jet flanking you on the left, and what should just so happen to be doing a flyover right now. Oh, hey, look at that!
That would have been a cool job to be the pilot that did the flyover over Vladimir Putin's head. That's a good right there.
Oh, yeah, that would get you bragging rights for just about forever. It should, anyways.
And drop, drop, drop. Oh, man. CWSB actually just doxed you in the chat.
I saw that, yeah. Jeez.
His name is Watcher Giorgio Rodrigo Consuelo Felipe Sasquatch Anderson.
I haven't gone by that since my minor league days. Through a mean spitball. But yeah, President Trump hosted Putin in Alaska, and God, they talked for what, 3.5 hours, I think, Joe, behind closed doors.
Yeah. So, what's funny is the left was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's gonna meet with him and try to make peace." And then 24 hours later, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he didn't make peace." They have to make up their mind, right?
Well, they don't have to, but I don't. I always say that we have to remember that they're not talking to us; they're talking to their target audience, which is the left. But you do have to wonder at a certain point how even somebody being deliberately petty, his mind must go, well, I mean, he didn't say he was going to make peace today. He said there was a process, and this is the start of it. That doesn't mean you failed because you didn't achieve your goal on the first try. Or, you know what I mean? Like on the very first meeting about it.
Yeah, right. And you know what? Here's the thing. He's the only one who's willing to actually try. The rest are not even trying, right? Because they don't want an end to the war.
Yep. Well, let me read a little bit of this. In the spring of 2020, the United States and its European allies imposed some of the harshest sanctions ever on Russia. They cut Russia from SWIFT and much of the global financial system, banned most trade with Russia, etc. President Biden joked that the ruble would turn into rubble, and many thought Russia's economy would be too crippled to continue its Ukrainian invasion for long. One Western observer disagreed. Oh boy. Jacques Sapir, a French economist who specialized in Russia. In a now archived post here at the time, Economic War Against a Real Economy, I shared Shapir's thoughts on why the West was underestimating the Russian economy. This week, Shapir shared his thoughts on Friday's Trump-Putin summit. In the event he is similarly prescient now, I have shared his comments below. Before we get to them, two brief programs notes. In case you missed it, Friday's post was don't really care. So let's get on to the comments, shall we? A summit in Alaska between Trump and Putin represents a major victory for Russia while not being a defeat for Trump, as the post-summit statements demonstrate. As Medvedev noticed, a process for normalizing relationships is underway between the U.S. and Russia without economic pressure. Exxon is potentially being remitted to Sakhalin-1, and secondary sanctions have been lifted for the time being. Trump recognizes that the objective is no longer a ceasefire but a genuine peace, which is Russia's position. Negotiations have taken place on the conditions for a lasting peace. We will know its content when Trump will meet with Zelensky on Monday, August 18th. That's going to happen today in Jackson Hole, which we'll get to. Responsibility for the success or failure of peace is explicitly placed on the shoulders of Zelensky and the EU countries who are invited to engage more in the process. This is a resounding failure for Macron, Merz, Starmer, but also for the EU in general. Trump explicitly threatened to withdraw completely from the Ukraine issue, which is the worst possible news for Zelensky when we know that the EU is incapable of replacing the US even partially. Furthermore, Russia is continuing its diplomatic offensive with its invitation to the APEC summit at the invitation of South Korea, and hence its penetration into Asia under the benevolent eye of both China and North Korea. Furthermore, Trump accepted Lyshenko's invitation to Belarus. This could only have happened with the consent of the Russian authorities. The Western framework for encircling Russia, already weakened by the BRICS, is now rapidly cracking. Western economic sanctions, largely ineffective, are now very fragile. It is unimaginable that the U.S. could maintain its sanctions in the face, the EU could maintain its sanctions in the face of the U.S. withdrawal. EU countries now have no choice but to follow Trump or bark with marginal effect at Russia. A terrible wake-up call for our frogs who want to make themselves as big as the ox. The icing on the cake is that Trump is now facing the possibility of Cuba joining BRICS, which represents a significant symbolic defeat for the neoconservative alliance. Yeah, I hate to agree with Froggy.
Why would Cuba have ever been part of a neoconservative alliance?
More just we have a country 50 miles off the United States shore, which, we've tried to sanction forever in order to try and bring into alignment with Western values, who is now joining BRICS.
I don't think Cuba was ever going to change.
Yeah, but I think that the neoconservative idea was that, hey, we'll just isolate them for long enough that the dictator dies, and maybe his kid too, because, it turns out his kid got into power, and then hopefully we can come and make them a democracy, Joe. Bay of Pigs style.
Yeah. The whole thing is a little bit silly. When I read one of the articles, it said that Trump has erroneously claimed that Ukraine started the war. They sort of did. If you look at the actual history of events, it's not a stretch to say that. It could be a difference of opinion, but they had a role to play in the start of the war, and they played it well. So the war is not exclusively on Russia. Sure, Russia didn't need to invade, but Ukraine took a certain number of provocations in order to ensure that they did. And CWS, but you're not wrong, the CIA started the war. We started the war in February of 2014. And if you don't know what happened in February of 2014, you haven't been paying any attention to this show for very long. So,
yeah, we've God, what was the actual name of that incident? But yes, we've talked about what happened.
Maidan Revolution.
Yeah, we've talked about the Maidan Revolution many times, and the culmination in burning their political opponents alive. Gee, what a wonderful country for us to be involved in, isn't it?
I will say yet again, since we're about to talk about it further down into the story, Crimea is not occupied. Crimea was not seized during the invasion.
Mm-hmm.
The historical fact is, prior to the Maidan Revolution of 2014, Ukrainian parliament had already approved Crimea's secession from the rest of Ukraine and its absorption into Russia, and the Crimean parliament had requested, or actually it was their independence, not their absorption into Russia. And the Crimean parliament had requested from Russia additional troops, because there have been Russian troops there since the 1600s. They have requested additional Russian troops for security. So the Russians that went into Crimea during the 2014 crisis were not an invading force. They were invited in by the local government. So Sure, the land taken outside of the Donbass and Crimea was 100% a Russian invasion and Russian aggression. Crimea was not. Crimea has always had strong Russian roots and had voted to and been approved by the Ukrainian government to leave Ukraine.
Well, there are some other side effects. Other things have begun happening. Signs of peace. And one of those signs of peace is that Russian oil is now once again flowing to Hungary and Slovakia. Oh, sorry. It's halted after Ukrainian attack. Sorry.
Yeah.
I am wrong.
No, this is Ukraine striking back and trying to stir the pot just before this meeting. The Hungarians claim that there's been an attack somewhere along the pipeline between Russia and Hungary. They didn't say specifically where, although I'm betting it was probably in Ukraine. The Ukrainians shut down the part of the pipeline, or in Belarus, one or the other, and it has halted all the flows. A Slovak company owns it, and they said that they can't really say what happened because it didn't happen on the territory of the Slovak Republic. Therefore, it means it had to have been in either Belarus or somewhere else. But somebody halted it, and when the Hungarians said, hey, man, the Ukrainians appear to have smashed our pipeline, the Ukrainian government position was, well, you're buying oil from our enemies, so that's on you. So they all but admitted it.
So it's not a super great sign for a meeting in Jackson Hole, I would say. Although,
by the way, who's a member of NATO and who is not? Hungary is a member of NATO. Ukraine is not, and Ukraine appears to have just attacked the infrastructure of a NATO ally.
True.
Crazy.
Although this would not be the first time. Yeah, you know what? Well, let's take a moment and talk about that. I think one of the other reasons that Zelensky and various others don't want the war to end, because at some point after the war ends, people who have been being shushed will no longer be able to be shushed when they ask important questions about things like, hey, who blew up this giant international pipeline that belongs to Russia and Germany?
Yeah.
I wonder how much of it is that, because boy, it sure seems like there's going to be an awful lot of not great things happening. If Ukraine had somehow fought this to a stalemate, they could maybe hopefully try and pass things off, but being not just the loser, but also like the definitive loser, to where like, hey, even your biggest supporters are pulling out from behind you. You're basically either going to, capitulate as they tell you to, or just collapse very rapidly, due to lack of lack of literal just bullets on the ground, like no ability to continue fighting. Things weigh a little differently when you're looking at peace talks and who gets to take responsibility for what. And I don't like Ukraine's odds coming up. And I think Trump sees a lot of the same thing. Trump says Zelensky can end Russian war almost immediately before White House meet. And apparently a host of European leaders will be accompanying Zelensky to Washington. Because you always got to bring your little gang of little kids when you're trying to convince Dad that, please, we just need a little money to go down to the creek, Dad. Come on. London, President Donald Trump on Sunday teased what he said would be a big day as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and a host of European leaders prepare for a White House meeting that Trump said can end Russia's invasion of Ukraine almost immediately. Monday's Washington, D.C. summit follows Trump's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday. Since that meeting, Trump appears to have dropped his demand for Russia to agree to an immediate ceasefire and is now pressuring Kiev to accept territorial concessions to secure a peace deal. On Saturday, Trump explicitly said Ukraine will not regain Crimea, occupied by Russia in 2014. The president also repeated that Ukraine will not be allowed to join NATO, though White House Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Zelensky have hinted at alternative security guarantees involving the United States. President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight, Trump wrote on social media on Sunday. The president has previously incorrectly framed Ukraine as he correctly framed them as the instigator of the conflict. Big day at the White House tomorrow, Trump added. I've never had so many European leaders at one time. It's a great honor to host them. No going into NATO by Ukraine, Trump added. Some things never change. Trump is expected to greet Zelensky outside the West Wing at 1 p.m., according to a schedule published by the White House, after which they will hold a bilateral meeting. So this should be pretty interesting. Oh, yeah, Vance is going to be there. So that'll be... Hopefully we'll get another, another... What the fuck did you just say moment?
Well, Donald Trump has told him he better show up in a suit. But knowing Zelensky, he'll show up in a tracksuit and be like, what? This is a suit in my part of the world. It's a tracksuit. So.
This is what high-power businessmen wear where I come from. And he wouldn't be lying.
Right. This is formal.
See, I have stripe. Very clean.
I bet, though, that if he did wear a tracksuit, he would look just like the sniper in Behind Enemy Lines, who's walking around in the Adidas tracksuit the whole time.
Zelensky said in a post on social media that he arrived in Washington, D.C. on Sunday night and expressed his gratitude to Trump for hosting the planned meeting. We all share a strong desire to end this war quickly and reliably. A peace must be lasting, he added. Ukrainians are fighting for their land, for their independence. Russia must end this war. Okay. Yeah, which it itself started, and I hope that our joint strength with America, with our European friends, will force Russia into a real peace. Yeah, this isn't going to go well. I'm making a prediction right now. The meeting will happen shortly after the show ends, and I'm just telling you right now, Zelensky's going to act like an offended little weasel. He's going to probably get up and storm out. We're going to end up cutting them off. He's going to make a big play about it. The Euros are going to make a big play about, we can step up and provide the aid. They'll provide less than a tenth of what we did. And Ukraine collapses. That's my prediction.
You know who else plays a role ultimately in the invasion of Ukraine is the mainstream media. If Absolutely. You look at what happened during the 2008 invasion of Georgia by Vladimir Putin under the exact same set of circumstances. 2 breakaway provinces, Abkhazia and South Ossetia, had unrest, then they had Russian peacekeepers, then they had full-scale Russian invasion. Exact same playbook. But it happened during the Olympic opening ceremonies. So everyone in the media didn't want to cover a war in the middle of it. And they basically downplayed the invasion when asked about it and said that it was a regional security matter and it was peacekeeping. That emboldened Vladimir Putin to the point where he is. So that's why the media's rhetoric here is so farcical, because the first time Putin did this, they acted like he was the good guy, right, in the invasion of Georgia. And now they're going to turn around and paint it exactly the other way because there's a different president in office. Interesting. who was just coming into president, or who was running for president that other time? Barack Obama. So interesting.
Barack Obama. Well, we shall see.
A great movie about that, if anyone's interested, about the lack of media coverage, is called 5 Days of War. It stars Andy Garcia and Rupert Friend. And Rupert Friend's a reporter who's just trying to get the truth out about the atrocities that are happening. And none of the media wants to buy his story, despite what's going on there. Fun fact, Val Kilmer makes an appearance in the movie as well. So, good film. And Superman is in the movie, Dean Cain.
Well, I just found out that our next article is locked behind a paywall, and I can't do anything about that, so we're going to skip it. But I'll tell you, it seems like that the people who get paid to predict the future for a living seem to be agreeing with me as futures take a steep dip ahead of the Trump-Zelensky meeting as Jackson Hole looms. U.S. equity futures are down a touch after closing in the red on Friday, having tagged a new all-time high earlier in the day, with small caps outperforming to the start of the week. European stocks fell 0.2%. Bond yields are lower as the curve flattened. This is in light of macro data week with a focus on retailer earnings, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, traders will be on the edge tomorrow following the latest development in the White House, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his allies will meet with President Trump to find out what the U.S. president committed to at his summit with Vladimir Putin. I don't know. What do you think, Joe? You want to make any predictions as to what it's going to turn out? Old Trump agreed to.
They're not going to get a meeting. They're not going to get approval from the EU or Zelensky. The war is going to continue. This right here is actually Putin and Trump trying to put the ball in Zelensky's court. Zelensky knows that the minute the war is over, he is out, he is done, and he does not want that to happen.
Oh, factual. But I was meaning more like, what do you think the agreements were that Trump made with Putin?
I think it was that they get the Donbass, which would be Luhansk and Donetsk, probably get Zaporizhia and the parts of Kherson they control, but not all of it. Just the parts on the east side of the river, and that Crimea is 100% a done deal. I don't see Putin agreeing to give back Donetsk and Luhansk, since the entire purpose of this was because there had already been a separatist movement in Donetsk and Luhansk for several years prior to the invasion, since 2014. He might give back Zaporizhia and Kherson, but he will not give back Donetsk and Luhansk or Crimea.
Just as a matter for conversation, I find that you tend to get separatist movements where people are beaten in the street mercilessly for a language they've spoken generationally for hundreds and hundreds of years. Tends to happen.
Yeah, and Rick, yeah, you're right on the Odessa part. There have been a number of strikes over the weekends, so
the Prague's memory hole remains bottomless. You're correct. Get hired to oversee the memory hole. Turns out it's bottomless. Oh, I love that copy pasta. Yeah, so the traders are also thinking things probably aren't going to go quite the way that they agreed into. So let's talk about it. What is standing in the way of a grand compromise on Ukraine?
Money.
Yeah. The war pigs. The war pigs are a squealing. The onus is now on Zelensky to reciprocate Putin's widely perceived willingness to compromise for peace. Putin and Trump publicly confirmed they found a lot of common ground during their 3-hour-long talk in Anchorage. But no grand compromise in Ukraine was reached due to a couple of big points. One is probably the most significant that remains unsolved, according to Trump. Putin's reaffirmation of the need to eliminate the primary cause of the conflict, and Trump mentioning how Zelensky will have to agree with what the U.S. Achieves so far, strongly hints as to what this could be. As a reminder, Russian official goals in the conflict are to demilitarize Ukraine, slash denazify it, restore the country's constitutional neutrality, and obtain recognition of the on-the-ground reality. That last part refers to the portions of what once was Ukraine which are no longer Ukraine. Putin suggested that he's become more flexible as of late, which was likely responsible, at least in part, for why he and Trump just met, as well as for Trump's positive assessment of their talks. So, he could hypothetically compromise on one, some, or all of these goals. This places the onus on Zelensky to reciprocate. In the order that Putin's goals were mentioned, Trump therefore likely expects Zelensky to either agree to curtail the size of his armed forces after the conflict ends, get the Rada to criminalize the glorification of World War II era Ukrainian Nazi collaborators, and or rescind anti-Russian legislation. Both, probably, I would say that let's just be honest. Ukraine has to do something about the Banderites. They have to
tear down the Bandera statues, remove the Banderite flags, as does Argentina, for the record.
Weird. Why would Argentina be?
The only other country that has a second flag is Argentina, and it's a flag glorifying Bandera. So. Crazy.
Have them remove the 2019 constitutional amendment about seeking NATO membership, and or amend the constitution to more easily cede land without first having to hold a successful all-Ukrainian referendum on the issue. Trump also said that he'll call up NATO, likely referring to the leaders of key NATO countries, who seemingly expect to facilitate a grand compromise by correspondingly agreeing not to deploy troops to Ukraine and or agreeing to curtail arms export to it, creatively encourage the Rada to pass the aforesaid socio-political neutrality and or territorial concession reforms, and or explicitly declaring that they'll no longer approve Ukraine's NATO membership bid. They might not do so willingly. However, it is possible that Trump could either greatly reduce or even abandon the scale of mid-July scheme to sell new U.S. arms to NATO for passing along to Ukraine, threaten to cut off all military ties with any country that deploys troops to Ukraine, threaten to impose more tariffs on countries that don't creatively encourage the Rada to pass the aforesaid reforms, and or threaten to reduce U.S.'s role in NATO if members don't explicitly declare their opposition to Ukraine joining. Oh no! Don't throw me in that briar patch. Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. We've said this before and we'll say it again. NATO is nothing without the U.S. If NATO countries want to get up and lippy about this, then I invite them to fund their own defense.
Yeah. War welfare is the only reason why this war is still going on.
Well, I mean, that's what signing up for a vassal state is, my man.
Yeah.
And if Trump and his NATO subordinates convince Zelensky to agree to some of their compromises, then Putin might agree to Ukraine retaining a larger military than what was agreed to in the spring of 2020's peace treaty drafts, not pursue full-fledged denazification, i.e. tacitly accepting that traces of this ideology will remain in Ukrainian society, not object to Ukraine's limited bilateral cooperation with NATO members, and or indefinitely freeze Russia's territorial claims. This pathway towards a grand compromise could be derailed by a Ukrainian false flag provocation against citizens that turns Trump against Russia, a false flag provocation elsewhere, like in the Baltic Sea, to the same end, and or any serious expansion of Russia's ground campaign beyond the disputed regions.
But these
Yeah,
are all speculation, but they're all pretty good speculation. It sounds about right. Um, yeah, you would hope so, but NATO can't back away from their stance. So, not necessarily NATO as an organization, but the NATO member nations. And look at little Latvia. If NATO is forced into this agreement, Latvia's got to eat a lot of crow because they've said some things. Latvia and Estonia both have said some things they probably shouldn't have. Lithuania was like, "Hey, don't associate me with them people. I ain't say none of that, yo." But
a
hey,
lot of small dog syndrome happening out of
yeah, a lot of
these
yapping
little
from
Baltic dwarves.
the Baltic dwarves. Yeah,
Um, and then of course it wouldn't be a full day if we didn't get to curse Mark for something. So Mark says, you know what would be funny? Trump and the EU allow Russia to keep what they have. Peace breaks out. War over. Zelensky in Ukraine so mad, and with beefed up military now, invades Europe and wins. Europe is now whiter Ukraine.
yeah.
Gee,
Thanks, Mark.
if only a certain other smart person that I know about had only told us that giving massive amounts of weapons to one of the most corrupt countries with one of the largest criminal undergrounds in the world would create a large mass of fighting age men that are well armed and well trained that would be an issue after the conflict.
Huh. And it's the only country with actual Nazis, despite everyone claiming there are Nazis all over the U.S. There are actually Nazis literally all over Ukraine.
And they mostly control things. Like they're not a small political faction.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Well, Joe, before we move
Yes.
on, may I just say that some stunningly handsome man made a very wise and interesting prediction that World War III would be a series of civil wars.
And you know, every year that he exists on this planet, he gets better looking. So that guy is smart.
Ages like
Listen,
fine
Jake,
wine.
we don't even bring that name up over here, right?
So here's the oh yeah, good lord. Here's the
I
deal.
mean, everyone wants to act like the woman's an oracle because she made the easiest to make prediction ever on the planet. Stop it.
Uh, um, I'm sorry that derailed me. Joe, I was just gonna say you must sleep on oak because you age like a fine whiskey.
Yeah, right.
As do your predictions. The UK um, really does look like shit might kick off.
Yeah, I honestly think the UK is close to a civil war. It's going to be a little tough for them because they don't have any weapons, but hopefully their Irish cousins are like, "Oi, mate, let me show you something I've buried in my backyard." Uh, Maybe it'll help. I actually had some Scottish folks stay here over the weekend, so I asked them their opinions, and turns out they were liberal freaks. So never mind.
Well, they were Scottish, so.
No, they're making a bike ride from Banff, Canada to Mexico, and they're from Scotland. Of course they were.
Oh boy. uh, so there will be a few interesting things. I see a lot of people saying it'll be a low intensity conflict. I think you're correct to a point. I think it'll be low intensity until all of a sudden it's not. Um,
Right.
I will remind you that while they may not have firearms, 3D printer go burr. That's not an issue these days. It really is not. Um, More so than that, there are many other options that your creative revolutionary can take advantage of. You cannot fully safety proof a society. It's not possible. You need a lot of chemical agents in everyday life that can be used for these types of things. You need a lot of tools that can be repurposed for these kinds of things. Um, all the tractors, yeah. um, I'm just saying, will they be at a disadvantage? Sure, but remember that in situations like this, the purpose of a one-shot pistol is to acquire a rifle.
Hey, listen,
Um,
if you read the Gray Man books by Mark Greaney, don't watch the movie because the movie has nothing to do with the books. But read the books. He says, if I have a stick, I can get a knife. If I have a knife, I
correct.
can get a gun. If I can get a handgun, I can get a rifle, and then I can get anything I want. So it really matters your motivation. By the way, when you said age like fine whiskey, it reminded me of something.
Hmm.
Make the screen bigger on me for just a second.
Oh, yep. Go for it.
So I was handed this bottle by Willie of Willie's Distillery, and it says to Joe, cheers. I've got one for Matt as well. But
Nice.
yeah, we really want to support the guys at Willie's Distillery for supporting us. I told him that Devil's Brigade has become the official whiskey of Camp Ponderosa, so he decided to give me a couple of bottles. So.
Well, that's Willie is legit, man. That's great stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
we're gonna have a sign custom made for our dining hall too about Willie's and Devil's
I
Brigade.
I hear rumor that certain people in the chat who might be attending next year's event might get to meet Willie in person. That's what it is. That's a rumor on the street.
If I can continue to build that partnership, the word on the street is that Willie from Willie's Distributing will be here in July. Or he may also be here in May for spring training week because he really wants to meet Matt and Kay and some of the others. So
That'd be good. Just called you the Whiskey Whisperer. Well, speaking of whiskey rebellions, a retired British colonel is warning that he believes the civil war in the country is now inevitable because politicians are unwilling to make meaningful actions to fix societal collapse. Colonel Richard Kemp, who has served on the Joint Intelligence Committee and the Cabinet Office Crisis Center, COBRA, oh God, urges that they do it over there too, don't they? It's awful. Urges that an alliance of the hard left and Islamic extremists will clash with broadly conservative British people, and it will end in widespread, prolonged unrest. Kemp suggests that together with other causes, these Islamic leftists will come together to threaten the cohesion and the entire culture and political existence of the West. Kemp, who has fought counterinsurgencies in North Ireland, served in the Gulf War, Bosnia, and commanded in Afghanistan, asserted that the agitators are fostered by and funded to a large extent by our internal enemies like Russia, China, Iran, and other countries as well. Boy, that's
this dude is about 2 days from being arrested.
I was gonna say
all of that is illegal to say in Russia. I mean, in UK.
in Soviet UK. You know, gee, that's a familiar story that I'm hearing a lot these days. the whole boy BRICS is funding things that make everyone else feel very uncomfortable.
A Squishy Hunter, the answer to that is he has come out repeatedly on the pro-British people side. Obi-Wan Nairobi, Chris, the former SAS guy. What's his name? Chris. I can't think of his last name. But
yeah, in an interview,
he actually had the best response to the Sydney Sweetie thing. He says, "How are my jeans?" And he posted a picture of him going into the mall in Nairobi. But yes, Jay Clark, Obi-Wan is here now. He lives in America. Craighead. Thank you. Chris Craighead is his name. Good dude. Squishy Hunter points out that Charles is a traitor to the English. That is why at Tactical Wisdom, when someone pays by silver, we explicitly tell them we do not accept Britannia's with Charles's face on them. You must send us Queen Elizabeth. Britannias. We don't take Charles ones. We don't recognize him here. Y'all might think that's a joke. The first time I said it, it was a joke. It is not. I don't want
In an interview with podcaster Connor Tomlinson, Kemp remarks that politicians in the UK are in a state of bewilderment. They're like rabbits in headlights. And that while they understand how the unrest is being fomented, they are unable or unwilling to put a stop to it. Kemp says of political leaders that their horizon is 4 years and that they want to keep a state of equilibrium for that time. They want to do what they can to make sure they win the next election. They don't want to take the radical sort of action that might be necessary to address these sorts of problems. There's only so much that I think people can take of that, and they've been very quiet up until now. The people in the UK have not really raised their voices against this, or in a very limited way only. But the more it develops, and it is going to develop more and more, the more unrest we're going to see. Can I be honest? I think there is one particular bit of news that came up recently which broke the dam already. It's what made the quiet people stop being quiet, and that's when it was revealed, as should have been obvious to everyone, that the police were also abusing a lot of the children involved in the grooming gang scandals. I think that bit of news particularly broke the last bit of trust that your average British citizen had for the government at large.
Yeah. I think that the colonel here has it right in that this is an existential war for the West. The West has self-destructed. They have invited in the fox into the hen house. They've invited in people who want to kill and destroy them in the name of inclusiveness. You can't be inclusive with someone who doesn't want you to live. That doesn't work ever. So they're going to have to, and not just the UK, but everyone in the collective West is going to have to realize this. You would think Spain would have learned its lesson, but they too have done the same thing.
They're diving head first. He adds they have no option. I'm not encouraging or supporting this, but I think that people will feel they have no option than to take action into their own hands rather than rely on political leaders who are doing nothing in their eyes. Yeah, I think that when you literally, like, when the political parties are so managed that you literally don't even have an opposition to the thing which is so obviously destroying your society, it becomes obvious that there is no political solution.
Right. Karen O makes the point that no one was listening to Tommy, referring to Tommy Robinson. And let's be honest, they locked him up in jail repeatedly simply for telling the truth about what was going on in the United Kingdom. And it's crazy.
As we previously highlighted, these views are shared by London's King's College war professor David Betts, who believes the UK is already past the tipping point. Yeah, I think it's coming. I think it's coming soon. I think probably we're moving into the winter months, and so there's going to be kind of a boiling discontent all throughout the winter. You're probably going to see is, let's be honest. I think you're moving into
that we're behind on over there.
Oh, are they on? Are they on Rumble?
Huh?
The super chats, Rumble rants. Yep. Okay, let me get over there because I was not keeping track of that. Sorry, Rumble. Let me finish my thought and then we'll get to you guys. Joe, I think over the winter what we're probably going to see is whatever the UK equivalent of a night letter is. And then I think we move into like actual large-scale protests in the spring and summer when the weather starts to clear.
I think we've already had several. I think it's going to get worse and develop into more action. It's going to be more. The Europeans, the British in particular, are more inclined towards street action than Americans are. So I think you'll see some hooligan or young white lads making incursions into the no-go zones that are Muslim exclusive areas, and it'll go back and forth. So,
Derna for $2 says, I'm surprised no one in Russia has figured out that the fastest way to end U.S. support is to let American troops into Kiev and watch the chaos when American troops start dating Ukrainian girls. Hunch for $5 says, by the way, thank you so much, Derna. Appreciate you. Hunch for $5. Lithuania fought long and hard for over a decade against the commies. Funny how the two who rolled over, are talking the most in the Baltics. The Baltic dwarves tend to yap far beyond their weight class. Hunch for another $5 says there might come a day where former SAS, former IRA are working hand in hand. God, I love this timeline. Yeah, it would be interesting. Thanks again, Hunch. I appreciate you. Random PNW guy for $2. Whoever can acquire a small amount of ARs in the U.S. and sell to pro-British people will make a shit ton of money and give them a fighting chance. Again, in the era of 3D printer go burr, squirty plastic is way more than enough to get you what you need.
It's at least enough to get better arms, right?
Yep, correct.
Which is exactly what happened in Myanmar. They were a no private firearms country, and it is now awash in firearms. So,
all right. So, Joe, you're the one who brought us this next one. I'll introduce it, and then why don't you head into it? Apparently, Bolivia's left in historic defeat as the presidential vote set for October runoff.
So this is the first time in over 20 years that the leftists have lost an election in Bolivia. And Rodrigo Paz is a to most right-wing people in America, he would be considered a center-left person. But as far as Bolivia is concerned, he's practically far right. And that's actually a good thing. So we will see how they do. The leftists are down there. So right now it looks like it's a centrist one versus a right-wing one, and they're not going to win either way. So,
yeah, the last several times that we've watched South American countries try and elect anybody who does not go along with the international broader global communist revolution, they tend to get lead headaches awful quick.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd now watch for, I think what Joe and I are both saying is watch for Bolivia to be another touch point that we'll be monitoring here pretty soon. But don't think we're only looking outwards, because this kind of shit here will cause a civil war here at home faster than you might think. Video appears to show late-night ballot drop-off by Hamtramck Council's member under investigation. Let's just...
yeah, so let me before we get there, let me mention what has happened in Hamtramck. 20 years ago, Hamtramck was well known for its nearly 90% Polish population. And they were known for their butcher shops and restaurants, and they were really the center of Polish American culture in America. It was a huge all Polish town. Immigration and the business policies in Michigan and Michigan government has changed it in 20 years to a vastly, not even majority, 100% Muslim town, led by Bangladeshi and Pakistani Muslims. But then I repeat myself. Anyway, it was the first majority Muslim city council, followed by the first all Muslim city council in America, and is now the first all Muslim city government, meaning every city government position is held by a Muslim in America. But this could be why. So now the stage is set. The guy in the passenger seat is candidate Abu Musa, and he's handing over stacks of ballots to his buddy to put in there. I will point out that ballot drop boxes are not actually legal for elections in Michigan, but here we are. And this is one of two videos in which he stuffs this box. There's another pickup truck video where he's in the back seat and the two guys in the front stuff a few hundred ballots in there. Mail-in ballots are for fraud. They're not for anything else. Yeah, Dr. Butcher, who is also from Metro Detroit, points out no Christian bells ring anymore. One of the first acts of their city council was to stop the Catholic ringing of the bells, but then order the playing of the call to prayer 5 times a day. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. First time I hear that in my town, I'm probably gonna start engaging in a little bit of what do they call that? Urban property value lowering.
Yeah. Well, they also have renamed the main street that runs through Hamtramck Palestine Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So it
reminder: this can in fact be stopped.
I'm sorry.
You can. I'm just reminding everybody out there: this can in fact be stopped. You can just say, "No, fuck you. You're going home now."
Yeah. Conant Street renamed Palestine. Fantastic. There is a solution. Hamtramck is completely surrounded by the city of Detroit, so Detroit locals, do your thing.
Facts. If there's another solution too. If they're close to the city of Detroit, that means they're close to the Detroit International Airport, which means they're a hop, skip, and a jump from going the fuck home. Just go home. All right, next. Yet another Jostradamus prediction coming true. And this time, some of you fans will probably not be too pleased, but here we go. Amid DC takeover, Trump-ized crime in other cities. Who could have possibly guessed that this would happen?
Yeah, right. Who could possibly have guessed this? And I said that this is actually a mistake by Trump because he lacks the constitutional basis to do this in other cities. He has a solid legal basis for Washington, D.C. He doesn't anywhere else, unless he declares an insurrection.
While federalizing the local police and deploying the National Guard in Washington, D.C., Trump has suggested he could flex his authority to fight violent crime elsewhere. We have other cities that are also bad, very bad, President Trump said at an August 11th press conference. He listed Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Oakland, and Baltimore among the cities of concern. Although homicide and other violent crimes have recently dipped across America. Again, I hate to do this every time because it probably gets annoying to people, but you literally can't let journalist scum pass this kind of shit without commenting on it. Yes, because we explicitly stopped collecting the numbers and reporting the numbers to those higher systems you're relying on for the numbers. So if you stop reporting all the murders, it looks like there's less murders, even if there's not.
Right, and property crimes too. So here's the thing: how are the crime numbers arrived at? Well, they are arrived at through police reports and the collecting of that in the National Incident-Based Reporting System. When police departments said, "Hey, we no longer respond to shoplifting, we no longer respond to burglary, we no longer respond to petty theft," what then happens to those numbers? The actual incidence of them go up, but the crime rate goes down because no one's writing reports about it anymore, right? And if there's no more reports about it, therefore the crime rate goes down, even though the actual crime has gone up. So
As we
stop
should all know
looking
by
for
now,
false numbers. So,
there are lies, damn lies,
and
and
statistics.
statistics. Trump's power to deploy the National Guard outside of the nation's capital is also under debate. Actually, it's really not. I mean, there are some specific things he's got to do. It's not really a debate. It's very black and white. If there's an insurrection, he can do it. If there's not, he can kind of do it, but only under very specific things where the local government has to basically be asking for it, like declaring a state of emergency. And even then, only in some pretty specific roles, like, hey, police, why don't we handle your dispatch and all the other dumb shit that would normally have police on it, like writing your reports for you.
Well, and the name Washington District of Columbia is actually a shortening of the actual legal name. It's Washington, the Military District of Columbia. Therefore, it's the one place where the military could be used without any necessity for any other authorization.
Now, what else could Trump do, though, that goes beyond this? Well, I'll tell you another way that Trump could deploy National Guard to most states. He can deploy National Guard to federal property pretty much anytime he wants for any reason that he wants.
That's true.
Here's what you should know. Trump's presidential powers. Trump federalized D.C. Metropolitan Police Department after declaring a crime emergency. He did so under Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, which lets him control the district's police for up to 30 days without congressional authorization. He wants Congress to expand that power, suggesting a national emergency declaration could be a means of sidestepping the legislature if it does not act. There is no equivalent to the D.C. Home Rule Act in other big cities. Trump named, again though, how many of those big cities have multiple different federal buildings? Hey, guess what? All that's federal land. So, hey, guess what? He can deploy them there. And, hey, guess what? That's in the middle of all of your downtowns because you all built around those federal buildings. Weird. There is no... Anyways, National Guard is a trickier question. The U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer is assessing Breyer again.
Yeah, he's the only federal judge that exists,
Apparently, assessing whether Trump's deployment of National Guards to Los Angeles and nearby municipalities violates the Posse Comitatus Act. Well, again, were they on federal land? Then no.
Well,
it doesn't.
And the Posse Comitatus Act only has to do with law enforcement. They weren't used to enforce the law, so it doesn't matter.
You're literally just used to stand outside of a building. Like, it's not. Oh, this isn't rocket surgery, folks. I don't.
There is a solution, and it's the M60.
Oh, is that a goat gun?
Huh?
Is that one of those miniature scale goat guns? The fully articulating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it works exactly like a 60. I got it from our good friend Reverend Hazmat, and I have an AK-47 just like it. All of it works, great. So it's very cool.
That's fantastic. We'll count on Republicans in Congress and the Senate to vote to end no cash bail, he said, referring to a legal reality in many cities and states that have drawn his ire. I'm sorry, who can even argue with this at this point? Like, we see on almost a daily basis news stories about, like, I'll tell you what, the one that pops to mind was literally last night. I was reading it before I went to bed. Daycare worker beat the ever-living crap out of a 2-year-old. Like 53-year-old daycare worker beats the absolute shit out of a 2-year-old. The kid's black and blue, facial deformities. Like, bad. Posted out with like $5,000 bond. Same day. You've got multiple incidents this week where you've got guys that are out for like trying to kidnap people that get released on like $1,000 bond, and wouldn't you know it, went out and kidnapped someone and then murdered someone else. How is anyone arguing with the getting rid of the no cash bail thing?
Interestingly, the left celebrated when Kathy Hochul deployed the National Guard to the subway because it was so violent and dangerous, yet says it's evil when Donald Trump does the same thing in Washington, D.C.
I'm yeah, the DC judges particularly need to go, but yes, I think that the last couple decades has revealed one of the. So we have a system of laws that is not necessarily what our founding fathers laid out. Right? We continuously add new laws onto it and new things that modify those laws. Right? And I believe that where we are at is untenable, and one of the ways in which it is untenable that needs to get fixed is that there needs to be a way to remove some of these judges.
There has to be, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, look for them to expand a lot of these different programs to multiple larger cities. Look for them to again, like I bet you won't see the National Guard used for law enforcement unless it comes to an actual riot. But I think what you will probably see is the National Guard gets deployed to, go work in the New York City NYPD motor pool, and do all kinds of stuff that free up badged officers to be able to get out on the street.
Yeah.
Eisenhower and JFK used the nasty girls. Yeah, well, everybody does. I think the left will try and kick off when that happens. By the way, you've already started to see it, but the left is largely led by the boomers, right? And what do the boomers remember? Well, the boomers' best time they ever had was somewhere around Vietnam. And the leftist boomers, what were they doing at the time? Well, they made it a huge campaign to hate, disrespect, and violently assault soldiers. They've already started spitting on the National Guard again, guys. I'm telling you, this is a return to form. This is something they're going to love. When you see these National Guard in different places, look for the left to go absolutely insane over it. More steps towards civil war. Speaking of which, our final wrap up is that 3 states are going to deploy hundreds of National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. South Carolina and Ohio join West Virginia in pledging troops, fueling protests over political policing mission. Joe, you're the one who brought this one, and the Guardian is making it really difficult for me to read it. What did you see in this that you wanted to highlight?
I just think that it's one more thing that's going to send the left over the edge. They're going to say these governors are supporting fascism, blah, 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 going to continue to push on and talking about more fascism and more agitation. That's what they're going to do. So,
facts. Hey, listen, guys, everybody in the chat, I'm not bashing all boomers. I thought I made it very clear that I was talking about the leftist boomers, the people who are heading the communist revolution.
he did actually say that, you guys.
If you're not a communist, calm down. It's okay. Yeah. Well, Squishy Hunter, the good news about that is that it'll mostly be robot caregivers by that time, it looks like. So,
what I find ironic is all these state leaders who are complaining about the ICE agents wearing masks. Let me ask you why. Police officers have been wearing masks ever since COVID. So why is it bad when ICE does it?
Oh yeah, the people who were trying to indefinitely mask the entire planet and still are complaining about police officers wearing masks. What an interesting turn of the tables we have here. I smell hippies. Good God. All right,
trying
folks.
to get these guys these guys harmed. So
They are, and they've said as much. They've actually, I forget who it was. I think it was Hakeem Jeffries. Essentially said that when Republicans lose power, they are going to dox those agents. And let's be clear about what that threat is. That is a threat to expose who they are to the cartels, so that the cartels can come murder their families.
Swalwell said the same thing.
Yeah, it might have been Swalwell. So yeah, fun times, guys. If you don't see how close we are to civil war, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I can't help you if you can't see that writing on the wall.
All right, folks, we're a little past an hour and a half, about an hour and 35 minutes in. So, yeah, I think that about does it for us today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me check and make sure I didn't miss any other Rumble rants that came through. No, looks like, oh no, Squishy 100 for $1 says, the sign that is truly kicking off in the UK is when the first constable is killed by the English. It is a point of no return that the English must be ready for when it happens. Agreed. Agreed. All right, folks, we appreciate you. Joe, do you have anything for him?
Yeah, I just say pay attention to what's going on around you. Things move very quickly, and if you live in the hurricane zone, please take some preparedness actions. Stock up some food and water, and get all that stuff around. And I'm going to ask answer Gene Rogers' question. What does a civil war look like? It looks like it's not what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks the civil war in America this time around is going to be, government forces versus rebels. It will not be. It will be right-wing militias versus left-wing militias, and the government largely being sidelined and arresting whoever they can find on either side. So keep that in mind. Might be a good time to know a dude who owns a compound in the middle of nowhere. Just saying. There'll be those will be the biggest indicators, right? Attacks going on both sides and no actual enforcement on each side. And Rick, I believe you mean ROE, because it will absolutely have a return on investment. It will be us restoring the government, restoring the Constitution, but it will not have an ROE, rules of engagement. Yes.
Yeah. Well, folks, we sure appreciate you being here. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember, don't drink and drive. Let's see. If you're gonna tap it, wrap it. Oh, it's not Friday. I don't have to give you your full libo brief yet. All right. Okay. So, get out there, do good work. Be good to each other. Hey, do me a favor if you would. If you're all good on your food preps, and you are all good on, you got a garden coming along, and you've got maybe some animals coming along, so that if stuff starts to collapse, you can be taken care of. Do me a favor, look around. Since your bowl is very full, why not see about some who are in your area that you would not like to see arrive at your door starving, and see what you can do about maybe helping them get a little more prepared today, and in doing so help to form a little bit of a community. Do that for Watcher.
Nice.
All right, guys, we appreciate you. Give the video a like on your way out. We need those. And as Scott would tell you, stay safe.